Hello and welcome to Sleepsmyth, your peaceful place to unwind, dream and drift gently into sleep. Before we start our story tonight, let me help you settle in with a simple, calming breath like a gentle lullaby for your body and mind. So, find a cozy spot, maybe snuggle under your blanket, and softly close your eyes. Now, breathing quietly through your nose for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold that breath softly for 7 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now, slowly exhale through your mouth for 8 seconds, letting all the tension melt away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's do that again. Nice and easy. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One last time, just like a soft whisper, breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Feel your body getting lighter, your mind quiet, as if you're being tucked gently into a calm, warm bed. Thank you for sharing this moment with Sleepsmyth. Now, relax completely and let the story carry you into a peaceful, restful sleep. Let's begin.
Now that your breath has found its calm, let us embark on a journey through the veils of time and myth. Tonight, we will wander through the shadows and whispers of ancient Europe, where magic and destiny intertwine. We will hear the wild tale of Rome, a city born from the fierce love of a she-wolf and the blood of twin brothers destined to rule the world. Then, we will cross to Paris, where the namesake lover's story and the secrets of an ancient tribe ripple beneath the city's graceful streets. Finally, we will witness the divine contest of gods, Athena and Poseidon, whose celestial battle shaped the soul of Athens. These stories are more than legend. They are the murmurs of forgotten gods, the breath of history, and the heartbeat of cities that never sleep. So, close your eyes gently, and let the mysteries unfold as we step softly into these enchanted tales. Rome, the legend of Romulus and Remus, brothers of fate and the she-wolf. An origin story of the eternal city, born of destiny, brotherhood, and the wild she-wolf. The land before Rome. The Tiber River wound its way gently through the land, carving valleys and nourishing forests. The 7 hills stood tall, like ancient sentinels watching over the land. The air was heavy with the scent of pine and earth, the songs of birds and the distant howl of wolves. But this place was untamed. Villages of farmers and hunters dotted the landscape, but no city, no kingdom. The gods watched from the heights of Mount Olympus, intrigued by the fate waiting to unfold. The royal bloodline. In the city of Alba Longa, far upstream, lived Numitor, a wise and just king. He was beloved by his people and a descendant of Aeneas, the Trojan prince who had escaped the fall of Troy and journeyed to Italy, carrying the future of Rome in his blood. But not all shared Numitor's wisdom. His brother, Amulius, coveted the throne. With dark ambition, he overthrew Numitor, forcing him into exile and seizing power. To prevent any challenge to his rule, Amulius did something cruel. He forced Numitor's daughter, Rhea Silvia, to become a Vestal virgin, sworn to chastity and service to the gods, unable to bear children. But fate would not be denied. Divine intervention and the birth of twins. One night, beneath a shimmering sky, the god Mars, god of war and protector of Rome, descended from the heavens. He was drawn to Rhea Silvia's beauty and courage. From this union, twin boys were born, Romulus and Remus. Their birth was a secret kept only by Rhea Silvia, for Amulius feared the prophecy that the twins would one day restore their grandfather's throne and found a city that would rule the world. When Amulius discovered the truth, he ordered the twins to be abandoned, set adrift on the Tiber River, wrapped in reeds and left to the mercy of the waters. The river's mercy and the she-wolf's care. The river carried the twins gently downstream, past thick forests and jagged rocks. For hours, the small basket bobbed on the water, drifting between danger and hope. At last, it came to rest beneath the shadow of a great fig tree on the Palatine Hill, one of the future 7 hills of Rome. There a she-wolf, fierce and wild, with eyes like molten amber, found the crying babies. Instead of harm, she gave them warmth and protection. She nuzzled the boys with her rough tongue, licking them with tenderness, and shielded them beneath her fur. Nearby, a humble shepherd named Faustulus discovered the miraculous scene. Amazed, he took the twins to raise as his own, alongside his wife, Acca Laurentia. Childhood of heroes. Romulus and Remus grew strong and fearless, raised among the hills and woods of the wild land. They learned to hunt, to fight, and to listen to the whispers of the forest. Though human, they carried the blood of gods and kings. They loved the river, the hills, and the sky above. They played beneath the stars, dreaming of greatness and adventure. As young men, they discovered their true heritage. With the guidance of the gods and their own courage, they vowed to reclaim their birthright and build a city that would endure forever. The founding of Rome and the brothers' rivalry. Romulus and Remus journeyed to Alba Longa, where they helped overthrow the tyrant Amulius and restored their grandfather Numitor to the throne. Then came the question, where to build their own city. They chose the banks of the Tiber River, the land where the she-wolf had found them. But brothers soon quarrel. Romulus favored the Palatine Hill, while Remus preferred the Aventine Hill. To settle the dispute, they agreed to seek a sign from the gods through augury, watching birds for divine approval. Remus saw 6 vultures first, but Romulus claimed to have seen 12. The disagreement grew bitter. In anger, Remus mocked Romulus's new city walls by jumping over them. Romulus, furious, struck down his brother, some say accidentally, others say in rage. Remus fell. Romulus mourned but pressed on. He named the city Roma, after himself, and declared himself king. The rise of Rome. Romulus began building the city, laying foundations of stone and law, inviting people from all lands to join. Rome became a refuge for the outcasts and the brave. It grew in strength and spirit, guided by Romulus's vision. He created the Roman Senate, the first legions, and laws that would shape civilization. The city was more than walls. It was a promise of power, unity, and immortality. The eternal legacy. But even Romulus vanished mysteriously one night, some say taken by the gods, leaving behind a city destined to become the eternal city. Rome's story, born from blood and wilderness, was the foundation of an empire that shaped the world. What this story teaches us. This tale is more than myth. It's a story of family, rivalry, fate, and survival. It tells us how greatness can arise from hardship, how cities are born not just from stone, but from stories and dreams. So, next time you walk the ruins of the Forum or gaze at the Palatine Hill, remember the she-wolf's watchful eyes and the 2 brothers who dreamed of a city to rule the world. And know that Rome, like all great cities, was born from hope, courage, and the wild heart of the land. Paris, the river, the tribe, and the lover. An origin story of the City of Light. Before it was Paris, before even the idea of a city, there was only the river. The Seine flowed like a ribbon of silver across the land, soft, ancient, unhurried. It cut through forests of oak and beech, past hills that rolled like sleeping giants, and islands that rose from its center like secrets half submerged. At the heart of it all was a small rocky island, not grand but perfect, a natural meeting place, a cradle of life between riverbanks. This island, in time, would become the center of one of the world's greatest cities. But the story of Paris began not with kings or cathedrals, but with a tribe and a river goddess. The people of the river, the Parisii. In the 3rd century before our time, the land was known not as France, but Gaul, a vast region of mist and meadow, home to dozens of Celtic tribes. These people lived close to the earth. They listened to birdsong like prophecy, and the rustle of leaves was a language they understood. Among them were the Parisii, a small but clever tribe who made their home on the island in the Seine. They were not empire builders. They were traders, artisans, and spiritual people who believed the world was alive with spirits. To them, rivers were sacred, living beings with moods and memory. The Seine, which they called Sequana, was not just water. She was a goddess, a guide, a mother. The Parisii built wooden homes along the banks, their walls painted with spiral symbols. They traded furs and bronze tools, honey and salt. They lit fires at night that flickered like stars on the water. Their druids, seers and philosophers would speak to the trees and read the stars. Children were raised to know both the sword and the song. Stories passed from mouth to mouth like river winds, and their most treasured tales were of belonging to the land, the river, the tribe. They were quiet, but not weak. The storm from the south, Rome comes. But the world beyond the river was changing. In the south, a fire was rising, the fire of Rome, whose eagles marched across mountains and whose legions turned cities into provinces. And soon the eye of Rome turned northward to Gaul. In 53 BCE, Julius Caesar crossed into Gallic territory. One by one, the tribes fell before him, some by war, others by treaty. The Parisii, proud and protective of their sacred river, resisted. They joined the army of Vercingetorix, the great chieftain who united many Gauls to push Rome back. They fought with passion, but Rome was relentless. After the Gallic defeat, Caesar sent his legions north. The Parisii, knowing they could not defend their island, burned their own bridges, set fire to their settlement, and vanished into the woods, choosing to lose their city rather than see it fall to foreigners. But the Romans, practical and admiring of strategy, respected the site. They built their own town upon the ashes, naming it Lutetia Parisiorum, Lutetia of the Parisii. Stone roads replaced wooden paths. Temples to Jupiter rose where druids once walked. Baths, arenas, and forums bloomed like foreign flowers. Yet, even beneath the marble, the old spirit lingered. The Romans kept the name. And so, in some strange poetic way, the Parisii survived, in syllable, in soil, in soul. A second legend, the lover named Paris. But there is a second story, one not of war and rivers, but of fate and love, and a prince whose name was also Paris. Long before even the Parisii lived by the Seine, there was a kingdom across the sea, Troy. And in that golden city lived a young man destined to change the world. Paris, Prince of Troy, was not known for war, but for beauty, and for a choice he once made. 3 goddesses came to him, Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite, each demanding he decide who among them was the fairest. To sway him, they offered gifts, power, wisdom, and love. Paris chose Aphrodite, who promised him the heart of Helen, the most beautiful mortal woman alive. And so he took her, from her husband, from her home, and brought her to Troy. The theft ignited a war. For 10 years, ships stormed Troy's shores. Kings died, friends betrayed, and in the end, the city burned. But Paris survived. Wounded, hunted, grieving, he fled, or so the legend says. He wandered west, away from the ashes of Troy, carrying with him only memory and guilt. He followed rivers inland, toward the heart of an unknown continent. Eventually, he came to a place of fog and silence, a river valley soft with moss and mist, with an island at its center, just large enough for a dream to take root. There, he stopped running. Some say he lived out his days quietly, fishing from the riverbanks, healing the sick with herbs. Others say he carved poetry into the bark of trees and whispered Helen's name to the moon. When he died, the locals buried him beneath a grove of willows. They built no tomb, but in time, the island became known for him. The city, they said, was born where a lover laid down his sorrow. And so the name Paris returned, not from empire, but from myth. One city, 2 origins. And this is the strange truth of Paris. It is a city with 2 births. One from the Parisii, tribe of the river, who saw divinity in the water and life in the land. The other from Paris, Prince of Troy, the man who chose love and doomed a city. One gave the city its bones, the other perhaps its soul. Today, if you walk the Isle de la Cite, where Notre Dame casts her shadow on the Seine, you stand where Druids once whispered prayers, where Roman legions marched, where lovers longed. The name Paris remains. It has seen fire and famine, revolution and rebirth. It has given the world art, beauty, and rebellion. It has survived invasions and plagues, heartbreak and hope. They call it the City of Light, and perhaps that is what it has always been. A city born of riverlight and starlight, of torches passed hand to hand, of knowledge and romance, of resistance and remembrance. So if you ever find yourself beside the Seine, as the last light fades and the lamps flicker on, pause. Listen to the water. You may hear the voice of a Parisii druid chanting in the dark, or the soft sigh of a Trojan prince, watching the river flow on, carrying away everything but the memory of a name. And you'll know this is Paris, a city not built in a day, but in story. the city chosen by a goddess. The story of Athena, Poseidon, and the birth of a city. Long before philosophers argued beneath marble columns, before olive trees lined the hills and statues watched over silent ruins, there was only land and sea, and a high, rocky hill that rose from the heart of Attica like a crown waiting for its wearer. This would one day become the Acropolis, and on this hill a decision would be made, not by kings, but by gods. The city that would rise here did not begin with stone or law or conquest. It began with a rivalry, a gift, and a divine contest between two powerful deities, Poseidon, lord of the sea, and Athena, goddess of wisdom and war. And so the tale begins. Poseidon's claim. The world was young, and the gods of Olympus were still shaping the lands, each staking their domains across mountains, rivers, forests, and cities yet to be born. One land, fertile, wide, kissed by sun and sea, remained unclaimed. It was beautiful, but nameless. A city would rise there, the fates had whispered, greater than any in the mortal world. Two gods desired it. The first was Poseidon, the earth-shaker, powerful, proud, and unpredictable. His chariot was pulled by seahorses, his trident stirred storms. Wherever he went, the oceans answered. To him, this land by the sea seemed destined for his rule. He came crashing in with thunder, stepping onto the Acropolis with a roar. With one mighty strike of his trident into the rock, he summoned forth a spring, a saltwater fountain that surged from the stone in a silver arc. It was a sign of power, a declaration of rule. The people, awed by his force, watched the water flow and tasted it. But it was bitter, briny, like the sea itself, a reminder of Poseidon's domain. Athena's gift. Soon after came Athena, calm, poised, and radiant in her silver armor. She was not like Poseidon, who ruled with wave and fury. Athena ruled with strategy and vision. Her eyes saw what could be, not just what was. She stood on the Acropolis and surveyed the land, its hills, its valleys, its people. They needed not just might, but meaning. And so, she stepped forward. She did not strike the earth. She planted a single seed. From that seed, slowly and silently, an olive tree grew, roots spreading deep into the soil, branches curling toward the sun. It was not flashy. It did not roar, but it offered. The olive tree gave shade, wood, and most precious of all, fruit, olives that could feed the people, be pressed into oil, burned for light, and bartered in trade. It was a gift not of power, but of promise. The judgment. The gods of Olympus gathered to witness the outcome. So too did the people of the land, farmers, warriors, mothers, poets. They were asked to choose between the gods and their gifts. Would they honor Poseidon, who brought water and force, or Athena, who offered growth and wisdom? In some tellings, it was the 12 Olympians who voted. In others, it was the people themselves. But either way, the result was the same. They chose Athena. Not because she was more powerful. Poseidon, after all, could crush the land with waves, but because her gift spoke to their future. Her gift was patient, peaceful, enduring. Poseidon, enraged, is said to have cursed the city with drought or to have flooded parts of the coast in fury. But he did not destroy it. Even gods, it seems, must sometimes accept loss. The city was named in her honor, Athens. A city of wisdom. From that day on, the olive tree became sacred, and so did the principles Athena represented. Athens grew to be a city not just of power, but of thought. A home for philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, for playwrights, artists, and visionaries. A city of marble temples, bustling agoras, and open debate. Warriors fought in her name, yes, but so did poets and mathematicians. The Parthenon, the great temple that still crowns the Acropolis today, was built to honor Athena. Inside once stood a statue of the goddess herself, towering and golden, holding a shield and a spear, and in her other hand, a small winged figure, Nike, the spirit of victory. Even today, the olive branch remains a symbol of peace, rooted in this ancient myth. Memory in stone. As centuries passed, Athens was conquered and freed, burned and rebuilt. Empires rose and fell around it, Rome, Byzantium, the Ottomans. Yet the name and story endured. And so did the olive tree. They say the very tree Athena planted still grows on the Acropolis, or at least a descendant of it. When the Persians burned Athens in 480 BCE, destroying the sacred grove, a new shoot of the olive tree rose from the ashes the very next day. It was, the people believed, Athena's sign. A whisper, I am still here. What the story means. The tale of Athena and Poseidon is more than myth. It is a lesson, soft but enduring. It teaches us that might is not always right, that wisdom, patience, and vision can build a city that outlasts empires. That real power lies not in what can be taken by force, but in what can be given, and what grows. Athens is a city named not for conquest, but for character, not for noise, but for knowledge. And so, as the sun sets behind the hills of Attica, and the sky turns the color of old marble, the olive trees still rustle with the wind. Perhaps if you listen closely, you might hear her, Athena, walking silently across her hill, watching her city, whispering wisdom to those still willing to listen. This is Athens, the city of the goddess, the city of the mind. And it all began with a gift, planted in stone.